Here we go!
Hello every creature, and welcome back to Spectrum Blast Gaming. Today I'm going to be reviewing my number one favorite game of all time. To be honest, I think this is one of the hardest games I'm going to review so far. The reason being is just how much I love this game and whatnot. But putting my bias aside, we shall begin the review. After the success of the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, Nintendo released the Nintendo 64, which was codenamed Project Reality. It was mostly complete in mid-1995, but because of a delay, it launched September 29, 1996. That being said, the reason why it was called the Nintendo 64 was because it was named after its 64-bit processing unit. When the Nintendo 64 released in North America, it had two launch titles, which was Super Mario 64 and Pilot Wing 64. In Japan, it launched with 3 games, but I'm not sure specifically how to say the third one because I'm not Japanese, so I apologize for not saying it as I don't want to butcher it. That being said, Super Mario 64 is one of those games that, while in 2020 doesn't compare to any of the new modern systems, back in 1996 it was very revolutionary, being as many games in that time were only 2D or had some kind of special technique that made it seem like it was 3D. This one actually was 3D, meaning that it used true 3D polygons, and also used the X, Y, and Z axis, basically encouraging exploration and allowing to see everything in 3D, allowing you to explore and view all the worlds in a third dimension. For me, along other people, it's considered one of the greatest games of all time. But now let's go ahead and get to the story of the game. So if you're used to any of the Mario games like Super Mario World, Super Mario Bros. 1, 2, 3, stuff like that, you'll know that in this game, the story is Bowser kidnaps Peach, takes over her castle, and you have to go and collect 120 stars and save the princess from Bowser. The thing was, you actually didn't need all 120 stars to go save Peach from Bowser. Actually, it's kind of funny. You only really needed 70 to go save her. In the DS remake of the game, you needed 80. But the review for Super Mario 64 DS goes to another review. That was kind of funny though, because nowadays, in 2020, people love and play this game so much still, there is a large community that plays this game, speedruns it, and they have managed to find a way to beat the game as fast as possible with the minimum amount of stars. And I just find it crazy since I'm not really much of a competitive person. And to be honest, while it sounds cool, some of the maneuvers and stuff they use, I don't know if it would work in actual hardware or it only works in emulation. And I'm kind of scared to try, so I'm not going to touch anything with that. But I still congratulate people who still play this game and they do the speedrunning because it's actually pretty cool. So, like I mentioned before, there's 120 stars, and there are 15 courses with 8 stars apiece, and in each level, if you manage to collect 100 coins, there's 1 extra star. And then there are 15 hidden stars around the castle that you are tasked to find. 3 of them you get from toads, the rest of them, they are hidden around the castle. That being said, let's talk about some of the stages. So, Balaam Battlefield, I think, is the one everybody knows because it's the first one where you start. You don't need any stars to go in, and it's one of the easiest courses, to be honest, in my opinion, that you go through. And the first star you get You have to travel all the way up a hill and fight King Balaam. But the funny thing about it is the fact that literally, in order to get the star, all you have to do is while he's walking towards you, you go behind him, pick him up, and throw him. You do that 3 times, and you get your very first star. But to be completely honest with you, fighting King Balaam is a cakewalk compared to any other game like Dark Souls or whatnot. So, I mean, it's easier than anything like that. Though it's kind of funny I use Dark Souls as an example because how hard that game is. Or how hard it can be, depending on the person. Anyway, Dark Souls aside, some of the other notable stages that I liked was Jolly Roger Bay, Dire Dire Docks, and Womp's Fortress. Although there was a star on there that gave me a hard time, to be honest with you. But then, you have some of the hardest levels, in my opinion, that probably other people got through with easy, which was Lethal Lava Land, Wet Dry World, and Tick Tock Clock and Rainbow Ride. They might not be hard as they were back in 1996, but they were some of the hardest levels I ever played. But the one that really frustrated me the most was Wet Dry World. Due to the fact that they had the little water level gauge things that you literally had to keep messing around with to make go up or down for certain parts of the level. Those things were hard as heck and very annoying because if you accidentally hit the wrong one, you'd have to go back and go all the way up to get the top one, or go all the way down to get the bottom one. Though to be honest, I do want to mention Coco Mountain because there was a part on that I'm pretty sure almost everybody did, which was throw the little baby penguin off the side of the mountain. I'm not sure if everybody did it. I know I did it a couple times, but I'm pretty sure a majority to almost everybody who has ever played Super Mario 64 got annoyed with hearing the penguin and they were like, goodbye! And they took it off the mountain. I should mention too that if someone is interested in playing the game, you can either buy the cartridge on the 64, which is the original hardware. They also released it on the Wii U, and something I just found out today, which was called the IQ player. I also know that in Japan, they had an original copy released, but then they re-released it again that had fixes for some of the bugs and whatnot. That was kind of funny though because Super Mario 64 is referenced in many other later games, such as the Super Smash Bros. Series, Mario Kart, and many others, which, funnily enough, when I played Mario Odyssey, which I should state is another review coming up, one of my favorite things that they added into it was an actual Super Mario 64 outfit that you can wear. And there was a toad that you talked to with a door by him. If you actually had the 64 outfit on, he would talk about something about being retro or whatnot. You go in, and it was the actual courtyard from Super Mario 64. Although they did some changes, like there was chests that were never there before and whatnot, but it's still pretty cool for nostalgia wise. And then I should say this is at the end of Mario Odyssey, but they had Peach's Castle, where it also had instead of power moons, it had power stars, and they would do the actual star theme whenever you collected a star from Super Mario 64. To be honest though, with everything I talked about, this still is one of my favorite games of all time. Just everything from the graphics to the gameplay to the sound and stuff, for me wise, still holds up to this day even though the graphics aren't really as good as, modern day consoles like the Xbox, the Switch, and all that stuff like that. But that being said, I'm going to touch on a rumor. I don't know if it's true or not. I hope it is, because I do want it. But supposedly, Nintendo's supposed to be working on a rumored Mario collection since this year's supposed to be an anniversary of Mario, where it's supposed to be remakes of Galaxy, 64, Sunshine, and I believe a remaster of Super Mario 3D World with land, without land. I'm not sure specifically. I just know a lot of people have talked about this. To be completely honest with you, I would not talk about it, but just with everybody saying stuff like this, it kind of has my hopes up. Kind of. To be honest though, it's still kind of funny to me that a lot of people thought Luigi was a playable character just because they saw a sign that was Ella's real, or I can't remember if that was it or whatnot. But they also had that sign on Ocarina of Time on the 64, so a lot of people thought it was like a coincidence. But then later on in Super Mario 64 DS, they also had Yoshi and Wario and Luigi as playable characters. So I guess that kind of does make sense, maybe. And I know I forgot to mention the DD, but in all honesty, there was supposed to be a sequel planned for that, but the DD never really worked out well for Nintendo, so they kind of canceled it. There are working prototypes for it. I know there are several people on YouTube that actually made videos on it. But unfortunately, I'm not one of those people that have it because it's so expensive, even though I really do want one. Oh, I should mention that with how everything was and how the source code for the Nintendo 64 release and stuff, people did make a port for Super Mario 64, but that ended up later on getting taken down by Nintendo because people don't realize that because Nintendo still owns the IP and copyright and all that stuff. Even if they're not going to re-release the game again, Nintendo's still one of those companies that are nefarious for taking down fan projects and whatnot. And that should wrap it up for my review on Super Mario 64. If you liked this review and wanted to hear more, please consider liking, sharing, and commenting on my video. If you have any ideas on what game I should review next, or if there's a movie I should review, or anything like that. Thank you again so much for watching, every creature, and credit to all the music that I use will be in the description below. Thank you, and I hope y'all have a wonderful day.